Welcome to Friend of a Friend,
where life is all about who you know.
Thank you for joining us. Hello, welcome to our first episode of So Loved and Friends. I'm here with Destiny Foudy. We call her Pip affectionately. And we wanted to take a little bit of time and explain to you or just share with you a little bit about So Loved and its purpose. So we're going to get started with that.
We're excited to be here. We're actually inside of the So Love shop right now. So it's very cool to be in
It's
here.
been a long time coming.
It definitely has.
Our ministry is under the umbrella of our church, Faith Fellowship Church, but the Lord kind of put it on our heart to do an outreach center, and that's what So Loved is. And we were in another building. It was a smaller building, and we renovated that and had a great time. But the Lord has blessed us, and we're in a really nice, big building now that we're trying to fill. And so it's super exciting. So this is our very first episode of So Loved and Friends. So thank you for joining us. We're super excited to have you along.
We are. So I want to get started. I'm going to interview you a little bit today.
Okay.
Because, listen, you have all the answers to all the
Goodness.
questions. So first, I want you to tell us what So Loved is, and then we're going to jump into the history.
So Loved is a collection of, I'd say a collection, that kind of sounds weird, doesn't it? A collaboration of different ministries and friends who we kind of have the same goal as just wanting to help people find their purpose in life. As a minister of over 30 years, a lot of the times we deal with people who are depressed or sad or struggling in life. They'll come to us during their struggles, not just their happy times. And the most of their struggle comes from they just don't know what they're here for. They don't have a purpose. They don't feel like they've hit their purpose or found their place in life. And so that's not a hard thing to find.
Right.
It's something that God has already prepared for us. It's a path that we are already going to walk. He's already prepared it. We just have to be good listeners and find that place. And that's what we want to help people do.
So you're saying So Loved is all about helping people find their purpose.
Exactly. And working with different people who have different skill sets to bring the different side of the mountain. You know what I mean?
Sure. So you're saying that So Loved, and I'm saying this like I've never heard it before.
Never.
I'm like really into this. So Loved is a ministry, but it's also a nonprofit charity.
Right. Because the name itself says So Loved. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole thing was, according to John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever would believe in him but perish would have everlasting life. So loved. You're not just loved. You are so loved. And I think that just spills out into so many areas in people's lives. So it's kind of cool to watch God develop all this.
So it's all about finding your purpose, but there's a specific age group that we love to work with. And what is that age group?
I really feel like it's like high school students, junior high school students, kids that are just beginning to think about life beyond mommy and daddy and just me. They're thinking about their future and realizing the world's a big place and where do I fit?
Right. That's a big question.
That's kind of what I'd like to partner with people that have already found their place in life and share their journey, how we got here. Not everybody's journey is the same. Some people have college degrees. Some people just learn a skill, not just a skill, but they learn a life skill that we need, like plumbers, electricians, seamstress. There's all kinds of things that we need to make this world work. And everybody has a place in that world. And if we can help people find their purpose, it seems to calm them down a little bit and they don't feel so anxious.
Oh my gosh. It's hard to kind of figure out who you want to be and what you want to do. And that's especially a turbulent time when you're a teenager or a young adult.
There's so many things going on when you're a teen, not just your purpose, but, boyfriend, girlfriend stuff and friendship stuff and school and passing, tests. And there's just so much going on. If our place could become a place where it's peaceful, come and just enjoy hanging out with folks that share their knowledge in whatever craft it is that we're highlighting that day.
So it is a store. So it operates like a thrift store, but it operates on a donation basis because we're a nonprofit. So what does the money go back to when people invest in So Loved?
Really, our overhead isn't too high. Of course, we've got to pay bills as anybody else would have to, taking care of that normal stuff. Your money would just go right back into the program, creating opportunities for kids to learn, because it takes money to get stuff to put their hands on, like sewing machines and scissors and everything for the fashion, program. And then there's music, there's free piano lessons, but it takes money to buy pianos and and music and all the things that they would need.
Absolutely.
And it just keeps going down the line. With each program we add, there's going to be things that we need, things we can get donated that people would give us, but then also things that we have to have money to pay teachers.
Well, we are sitting, I wish you could see us, in a room full of beautiful sewing supplies. And this began as just an idea. The whole thing began as an idea.
Right.
But something that the Lord has put on your heart for sewing, because you can't sew.
No.
So this is really bold of you to.
Well, my mother sewed, and I watched my mother make her own clothes. And her generation, that's what they did.
Right.
They had sewing machines and they learned to sew. And then when I was in high school, I had home ec class. I made an apron. Woohoo! And then I had a great aunt who worked at a sewing notion store, and she was all about sewing and made me a sewing kit as a little girl. Simple things I can do. Your grandmother sews and sold Barbie clothes.
There we go, yeah.
For a living. I mean, to make extra money, not for a living, but to make extra money. So
wow.
Back, years ago, it was a big deal. Now we just buy our clothes. But I kind of think things are kind of going back the other way.
Sewing might be making it even bigger.
Well,
comeback.
we think about this. We talk about this. You and I talk about it. How we think that all these things are new that we're doing right now. Like for instance, a podcast, or we think that's a big deal. But really, if you think about watching the Waltons or some of the shows that depict the 40s, people were always sitting around the radio listening.
And we don't know where you're sitting right now, but we're happy that you have our show on.
Exactly. So people would listen to the radio. They think that, it's a big deal that we get our groceries delivered. Woohoo, that's cool. But you know what? They did that back on Leave It to Beaver.
We can't be making stuff up. That's right.
Back, the 50s, you had, and I remember, I wasn't born in the 50s, just saying, but the milk was delivered on a milk truck. Mm-hmm. So it's awesome that we have our groceries delivered. I really enjoy that. But that's not something new. That's going back.
Yeah, so the sewing is super cool that we're in a space of sewing and sewing machines. And the community has really started to buy into this idea that we're going to bring on different seamstresses and do different things so young people can learn these skills.
Yes.
And what I was going to say is it's amazing to look around and see the shelves full, because something that began as an idea has begun to become real.
Exactly.
And that has happened because of our kind friends and the people in the community that believe in So Loved.
We were, on purpose, I talk about that. I felt like the Lord put this on my heart, and I was like, okay. And we call this the Fashion Fix.
Right.
So we get a lot of things donated. I'm known as the giveaway girl, I think. People give me stuff all the time, and I try to get it in the hands of people that need it. But if we can take some of these clothes, they're kind of outdated. Not everything that comes in is it might be older.
Sure, things that have potential.
Yeah, so we can use the zipper, the buttons, whatever. So these kids can tear this apart and begin to learn to sew on, secondhand clothes. Mm-hmm. And so this idea came from that, and so we've put that together. And so the room we're sitting in is called
It's the Fashion Pharmacy.
Yeah, because it's where we're going to get the stuff for the fix. So we're sitting around. It's amazing to see the sewing machine. We only have one right now, but it's brand new, and just all the different things that we're seeing, the materials and things that are sitting around us. We have a Cricut and the vinyl cutters and all that.
It's very fun. It's like a creative person's dream inside of this room.
Yes, it is.
And so it has been such a journey, because now I shudder to think what this room used to be, because this was an auto garage.
Right.
So when we came in here, there were all kinds of things. So I think we kind of need to begin to talk about how So Loved has done this summer renovation project.
Yeah. So
let's talk about that.
Our other store, we had to move, just circumstances, we had to move. So we found this location, and we began to renovate it probably early June, would you say?
Yeah, So Loved began. Okay, let's talk about where we started, because we have a great video that shows this. But for those that don't know, we've talked about how So Loved is a branch of Faith Fellowship Church.
Right.
So our church, Faith Fellowship Church, right beside it, there was this wonderful little garage area.
With high ceilings, love that.
It was beautiful. And so we rented it, and we sprayed it white, and it had chandeliers, which was a very dramatic thing.
In a garage,
to
absolutely.
have in a garage.
Yes.
So we got some fancy taste in there.
Right.
So it was a little store, but even when it was a little store, we got to meet so many wonderful people.
Yes.
And another part of our project is that we work with students from local high schools.
Right.
So they got to come, and we got to work the store. We had a big Christmas party. It was wonderful. Mm-hmm. So then Faith Fellowship Church got another building, didn't have the pretty,
garage
attached
with it
garage.
anymore, right.
So we were looking for another place, and where we're sitting is an old auto garage.
Right.
So talk to us about the condition of the auto garage when we got here.
So we found the building. I was just like, Lord, I need if you want to continue this, we need a spot. So we had come to get our car inspected. My husband and I were dropping the car off, and I looked over and saw this green building, and I thought, what he's doing with that building? It's a huge building. I wonder what he's doing with that building. And so my husband said, well, go on to ask him. So I go in and I asked the owner, and he said nothing. And so I said, his wife was there, and she said, show it to her. Go show it to her. So we come over and look at this building, and it had been vacant for a long time, and it had a haunted house in it. Oh my There was gosh. A giant, big spinning wheel with a life-size clown and daggers and blood,
beautiful.
like
Absolute
fake blood, in the dark. There were other stacks of tires. It was a mess.
Just some lovely haunted house decor, casual.
Yes. And
we talked about, it was an auto shop. It was full of clowns. And you're like, oh,
full of clowns.
You're exaggerating. That's not real.
No, it was full of clowns.
I do have photos of the clowns. And so this place, we've taken a summer of our lives.
Yes, we have.
To redo this place, make it beautiful, make it a place where people want to come and spend their time.
A peaceful place.
And we got this couch. Can we talk about, now I'm not going to say magic, but can we talk about this couch that we have that kind of brings something out of people?
I love to create spaces for people. I've always loved that. I'd love to like atmosphere and just peaceful places. Like I want my home to be peaceful. I tried to create bedrooms for my kids that were peaceful. I just always enjoyed the atmosphere. And so in any ministry or church building we've been in, I keep saying like I did it alone. We created spaces that were comfortable. So anyhow, I envisioned a couch and a sitting area for parents while their kids were taking piano lessons or whatever, where people could sit and talk. And so there was we're on a budget, and when I don't say that like, oh, we're on a budget, like, we're struggling. You just got to watch what you're doing. And so I wanted a couch. I didn't want just a cheap couch. I just didn't want an old smelly couch. I was looking on Marketplace, and a beautiful, beautiful couch came on for sale. Real reasonable, and ended up, long story, we had to drive kind of a ways to get it. Very heavy. We pick it up when we bring it here. We set it up. It looks so amazing.
It's beautiful.
It just changed the whole look of our little...
It is the centerpiece of the store.
It is. And already with that couch, we've had many conversations with people that have been life-changing.
Oh my goodness, because it's comfy. It kind of takes it from a stiff space to, like we said, the goal, which is a place where people want to spend time. Yeah. And so you just see people sink back in the couch.
They do.
The next thing you know, they're giving you their whole life story. It's magic.
And it's not like a gossip place like that. It's just they're spilling their heart out like, can you help me? Or what do you have anything to help me? And so of course we can help you because we have the one who has the answers.
Absolutely.
And if we don't, if we can't get it right that minute, God will give it to us to help people.
Well, you had an experience where people came in and they gave their heart to Jesus, and we all had a good time in this living room space.
We'd only had the couch in there like 3 hours, and set it up. And we had my husband had a call or a text of a family that said, could we meet with you? And they brought their teens, and it was a married, couple and their teens. And they came and they said, we're just not real comfortable going into a church. Could we meet with you somewhere? And Doug says, I've got the perfect place. We could come to So Loved. And he gave me the address. And this beautiful family walks through, and they plop down on the couch.
It's the couch.
And there's a nice little coffee table there. There's a whole story behind that. But they just plop down, and Doug begins to share the gospel with them. And they're so sweet. And, he's like, is this what you're talking about? Is this what you're interested in? And they're like, yes. And we got to pray with them that night, and all 5 of them gave their heart to Jesus that night. So how cool is that?
It's super great. But that's the whole thing, because we made a space. So Loved is a place where people can feel comfortable coming in. And we have people here that work with us, that work in our groups, that their goal in their heart is to share Christ and help other people, right? And so people always say, you know, it's not the stuff that matters, right? But you believe it's the stuff that matters. People say things don't really matter.
Yeah. So it's not a place where you're going to get preached at. Like, if you want to partner with us and you're a ministry or a church, it's not a place where you come in and just like start preaching. I mean, not saying we wouldn't shut it down and have a church service or a service special, but that's not really what it is. Jesus said this. He said he teaches to be fishers of men. So it's kind of like that. So you're just here, rubbing shoulders with people, spending time with one another, and then they start opening up their heart. You share your heart, they share their heart, and next thing you know, you're talking about the Lord, and he just does what he does, which is amazing. But things, we don't seek after things, but he said all these things will be added unto you, right? So he kind of uses us to be the ones that add the things. He works through us. Mm-hmm. People give us stuff all the time, beautiful things. We have a partner here in town who's blessed us for so many years with shoes. And when she gives us these nice shoes, she owns a shoe store, her mother does. When they give us these shoes, we don't just flop them out there and just, give them away to just run and resell them. Right. We try to fit them on people, spend time with people, and give them shoes. And it's sometimes an answer to prayer. They really needed a new pair of shoes for their kids. Absolutely. So jeans and shoes and coats and clothes and blankets and those kind of things are all opportunities to meet somebody. That's how I see it. It's an opportunity. So I can put it on our Facebook page. We have free comforters, or we have free bed rails, or whatever. And then the people come for those. And I don't preach to them, and I don't make them sign a card and swear they'll come to church. What we do is we just be kind. So love.
So loved. And so that is something that this place is built off of, because we're giving away clothing, we're giving away, like you're saying, bedding and all of this. And so that is a huge part of the ministry, because we're pulling from, donations, and we're redistributing.
So it's not like a smelly cat store, like a bunch of stinky clothes. I've been in those before.
Is a brilliant way to say it.
So I really can't do that. I won't do that. But So Loved has many facets, and it's continuing to grow. But one aspect of it is the donations. And what we do with those donations is sort them. And in working with the high school students, we put them to work helping us sort them. And then we have shelving units, you'd say, or spots that kids can rent for it's our entrepreneurship program where we teach kids about their first time job, partnering with other businesses that come in and talk about, this is how I got to my life's journey. This is how I got in, fulfilled the purpose God had for me. And this is how I did it. And they pour back into these kids' lives through this video series that we've created with some of the local business people. But these things that are donated, these kids that come through can look through those donated items and put them on their shelf and organize it like it's like their little booth. They're like at a not a thrift store, but what would you call it? Like a consignment shop.
Yeah.
And they can make a booth, and then they sell that, and they give a percentage back to So Love. So part of it's stuff they brought from home, and part of it they look through our donations and add to their collection. And then that's a way we can give to that child or that teen and teach them about how to keep their booth clean, responsibility. They sign a contract for a few months because we don't just start and get to quit. We're teaching about how to work that first-time job.
Absolutely.
And responsibly. So they can pull from our donations, and then they also bring things from home. And then they have to give 10% back to So Love for giving them this opportunity, because we pay the light bill, we pay the heat bill.
All kinds
of all that stuff. And they can make it their own, put their own little marquee up there, their own little business cards. And so we're trying to help students get their feet wet in business.
So to recap, So Loved, we take donations. Mm-hmm. We give away things to people.
Right.
And then we also encourage young people to start their businesses.
Right.
And we have little booths and little things that they can put their goods on.
And it's being responsible with our clothes, our used things, and getting to recycle them.
Well, the reason that I'm asking, I know the answer. But when we talk with people, they get a little bit confused, because So Love, it seems like it's doing so many different things. We're really putting the so in So Love. There's so much happening. What is the simplest way you can explain what we're doing?
It's just a collaboration of people coming together and bringing their gifts and talents to pour into other people's lives to help them find their purpose and to feel loved.
Okay, so we have heard about the store, we have heard about the giveaways, and we've heard about the clown spinning death wheel, right?
Yes, we have.
But we need to hear about you.
What would you like to hear
I
about?
would like to know how you got started doing all of this.
Okay.
What's your bio? Let's talk a little bit about you so that our listeners can understand who you are.
So I started giving things away when my oldest daughter was probably 3 or 4 years old. I don't know. It just is in my heart to help people. And so I took her clothes that she'd outgrown and some old furniture and stood on the corner where my grandfather had a gas station. And I set it up like a yard sale and began to just give things away and meet people. And they'd come up to buy the things, and I'd say, oh, no, they're free. And some people would take them and some people wouldn't because they didn't want to take free. And so I kept doing that. And then, I don't know, people started working with me and giving me stuff to give away. It's like when you find what you're supposed to do, God will provide what you need to do it. Right. Where he'll provide where he guides, basically. And so it just kept getting more and more stuff. And I began to teach others to give stuff away. Then they would bring their stuff and we'd work together and give stuff away. And the more I would lend myself to this giveaway ministry, so to speak, the more ideas would come. It's kind of like that scripture, who much is given, much is required. Yeah. The more I would give it out, the more would come, the more stuff would come, and the more ideas that would come. And there'd be people that would, for seasons in my life, that would come and work with me, and then they would move on. But like we would do giveaway clothes. We did Christmas outreaches and gave away toys, and we got the attention of some people, real estate agents that were very successful, and they wanted to help, and they began to donate. And I was then able to buy new appliances and groceries and have these little parties called Need a Little Help for Christmas parties, and rent out spaces. And it was just a beautiful thing. And that's just always what happened. And then we would have prom outreaches, one of the very first ones in our city. And we would gather hundreds of gowns, and it would just begin to like snowball, the gowns that were coming in, the helpers that were coming in, the seamstress, all these things. And we gave away prom gowns, and were able to meet a lot of kids and teens there and help take the burden of the prom off their parents, and also get the gospel in there a little bit. So that was cool. So this is just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed, and stuff just still keeps coming. And so from that, I was like, God, what is it with all this stuff? Because I would speak or teach or whatever, or go sing, but it was like, this is what I'm called to do, is gather stuff and give it away. And so the more stuff that was coming, I didn't have enough. I couldn't separate it all, keep it in order. And that's when I started working with students for community service hours and CTE classes to come and help us separate and teach them about outreaches, or, so to speak. And then it was like, oh my gosh, the training of this is like a first-time job, and wow, they could really use this experience. And how can I get people in here that are smarter than me, that have the experience that I need to teach these kids so we can do this more effectively? Yeah. And that's how I met the business folks and began to record them so that they didn't have to keep telling their story, but we could share their story of their success and what God's done in their life.
Absolutely. And so, what somebody might ask you once they hear all of that is why? Why do you do what you do? What's your why?
I think it's just I think everybody has something in their heart they feel they're supposed to do, like an assignment. It's not hard for me. It's not a burden for me. It's a joy. Not saying everything's fun. Scrubbing and painting old buildings, that's not fun. Lugging and loading stuff in and out and moving, that's not fun. What's fun is doing the real thing, which is meeting the people, meeting the needs, because it's not me meeting the needs. Right. It's God through me, and there's nothing in the world that feels like that. It's like going down a cold water slide in a hot summer day, like whoosh, I'm in the right spot. There's nothing like loving people, letting God love people through you. And sometimes that's a nice pair of jeans for a teen who just can't afford to get American Eagle. And they feel loved when they can get a pair here for $2 or free.
So Loved is all about finding your purpose.
That's it. I believe so.
Yeah, that's the heart. We're gonna do. It's the heart of So Loved.
Because if you don't know your purpose, you just wander around all the time wondering what you are.
So, this might be a big question.
Okay.
But how do you find your purpose?
According to Scripture, it says that God has already predestined and planned your life. He is the mastermind architect over all of our lives. Right. Some people don't believe that. And so when you don't believe that, you've got to find what you believe and submit to that. That might be a college professor. That might be a teacher in school. It might have been your grandma that told you were supposed to be a harmonica player. Ooh. Whatever it is, somebody's guiding your life. Somebody has spoke something in your life and caused you to go down the path you're going. But that's so limited to what man can do. But what God does, the creator of the universe, there's just no end to how wonderful your life can be. He's already planned it.
Absolutely.
So teaching people to hear and follow the direction of the Lord is the most important thing you could ever teach anybody. We went to Rainbow Bible College in Oklahoma when I was 18 years old. The biggest thing I took away from my time there that they taught me, which stays with me to this day, is how to hear the voice of God. Mm-hmm. And if you can teach somebody to hear God, then you can help them fix any area of their life, right? Because God has the answer for health, wealth, peace, all these things. And so he wants to he wants to share that with you. He's not withholding that from anybody.
Absolutely. And, purpose is such a big thing, but it's great that we have a big God.
Yeah, yeah. And not everybody believes like we believe.
Sure.
Not everybody believes that God is real, that he cares.
That's a big one.
And so we know that not everybody's for that. The answer is find the one who created you, mm-hmm. tap into that, and learn. Because see, God's not like this big abyss. Sure. People think he is. He wants to walk with you personally. Mm-hmm. He really does. And the creator of the universe wants to walk with you and help you make these life decisions about, who you're going to marry, what job you're going to have, where you're going to live. Those things aren't spelled out in Scripture, but he, living on the inside of you, will lead you and help you make those decisions.
Absolutely. And so loved is all about purpose. I've said that, and you've said that, and we believe that. And so I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite story that you've had doing outreach over the years? Do you have a favorite?
I would say it would be our one of our prom gown outreaches. When we did a prom gown outreach, it was our very first one. We were in a little community building.
Let's talk about, what does a prom gown outreach look like? What were you doing?
So what we were doing was we were giving away prom gowns to girls. We're actually selling them for $10. I had gone to different stores in the city and asked if they would donate prom gowns to us, and the local wedding shops and stuff, they donated prom gowns, and then people just started giving me used prom gowns. And then out of New York, there was a company that started shipping us prom gowns. Mm-hmm. And so we would gather prom gowns, prom shoes, and bags. Yeah. And so this is our very first one. We were in a little community building, and I had some good friends, Terry and Alan Caldwell, and they really supported this work with me. And actually our first gowns that were donated were with Terry and I remember just being in the car. We went into the dress shop, the lady gave us gowns, and we just literally almost cried in the car. Could not believe she'd given us, I don't know, I'm going to say 12 brand new gowns.
Beautiful.
So anyways, we had this event, and we had church service first. We were just a new church, and we were meeting in the community building, and we were doing this afterwards, and we'd put it in the paper, and kids knew to come. And this young girl came during church service to come get a dress. We were having church service amongst all these prom gowns because it was one room.
Sounds fun.
And so as we were getting ready to have church, this little girl's in this giant truck with muddy boots on. She came from a farm, in the mud, in a real muddy truck. And I said, sweetheart, after this service, we'll open this up and you can look. Mm-hmm. And so she came in and she found a dress, and she was so happy. A dress and shoes. Mm-hmm. Came off of back roads, and then I got a letter from her later, and she talked about her prom, and she'd gotten a pretty yellow dress, and how she said she would have never got to go had we not had this event, because prom is so expensive, mm-hmm. and it's such a burden on parents. And we were selling these dresses for $10, and so every time we'd take their $10, we would turn it around, and after I got $50, sold 5 gowns, we would put $50 in an envelope, and then we draw a name and give that money back to these girls. So somebody was always winning $50 every 5 dresses, mm-hmm. and that money was put back in so they could buy, if they didn't find shoes with us, or if they needed another something for their prom, mm-hmm. they had money to get their hair done or get their nails done.
Which we love, and it's so thoughtful and fun. And so you have been doing giveaways and sharing the love with people for a long time.
Yeah, it's my passion.
It is your passion. So I think you found your purpose.
Yeah, I think I
you're
did.
Here. You're a good person to ask.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's a life, it's a journey with God, and it just keeps changing and changing, but not so much changing, just fine tuning.
Absolutely. So this has been the first episode of Friends of So Love.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
I'm honored that you brought me in as a friend. This is great.
Well, yeah.
This is nice. We're here in the sewing closet. I don't have headphones on. You get the only pair. This is crazy.
Yeah, so we'll hopefully grow this and be able to even do
Get
better.
another set of headphones.
Yeah, we could.
Good times.
But thank you for taking time out of your day to listen today. If you would like to join us on our journey here at So Loved, we would love to partner with us. You can find us on Facebook.
Oh, I thought I was going to do this part, but you're doing it.
And you can follow us there, and look for more upcoming podcasts. Friends with So Loved. We'll be interviewing different people in our community, business owners, and just
be our next friend on here.
Could be you. It could be.
Put it out to the community.
But thank you for those that have already supported us, and if you're interested in supporting us, we sure would appreciate the help.
Our show is produced by Heirloom Media and brought to you by our partners at Society 316. Thanks for listening. See you next week.